Okay, thank you.
Okay, Representative Hammer, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, who was the head of the team that headed up the decision to do all this?
Well, Dick White is our lead. He runs our Office of System and Technology. And then we have a team that includes senior people from the Department of Information Systems who've worked with us.
Okay.
We have kind of a governance team that has overseen this project.
Now this is, I'm talking about the one that goes back to the decision to utilize this program.
Right. You mean to replace the old system or to take the approach we did?
To Senator Rapert's question, when he was asking who was responsible,
right.
Who was the, did you provide us with a list of the team that helped make the decision and who headed up the team?
Sure.
Okay. And then, was there, in all the dollars that were being thrown around, the $100 million and all that, is any portion of that have a state match requirement to it, or was that all federal dollars?
No, the state match requirement, it works out to about 12.5%.
Okay,
so it's the state's share of that. So our total cost at our current, if this ended up costing $200 million, our total cost will be about $25 million for the state.
Okay, and that's reflected in DHS's budget, is that right?
Yeah, that would come out of our, almost exclusively out of our Medicaid administrative budget.
Okay, and then that contract, how was it originally issued and under what authority? Did it come by us as legislative body? I don't remember that.
No, sir, it's a, we initially, and I don't know, so I don't know if you're with this part, I don't want to repeat myself, but we initially put out an RFP for bid and had a number of bidders, selected a bid, and we did that through the Office of State Procurement, selected a vendor, and negotiated with that vendor. They're called Meridian for months and could never get them to agree to the contract terms. And at that point, the Office of State Procurement said either it's too late or for other reasons, we couldn't go to kind of whoever was number 2 in the scoring. And so at that point we used, the state has, and this one I don't know what the term is, the state has kind of standing contracts for IT vendors. And we used that standing contract to hire some of the same people that Meridian would have used had Meridian signed the contract. So we did individual statements of work under that mother contract, that global contract. We did statements of work with individual vendors for certain amounts of their time and effort for different parts of the project. But it did not come here. That was considered by Office of State Procurement, that kind of work, not just this contract, but lots of it like it, as a technical services work and technical services contracts until a few months ago. My understanding is it just didn't come to the legislature for review. I think they were seen more as kind of commodities. It didn't come to the legislation. I don't know whether it's a legislative decision not to review them at a certain point or state procurement, but for whatever reason, that doesn't come here for review. It does now, but it didn't, I think, until probably January.
Okay, one last question. Was there, do you remember anywhere in the contract, was there any sort of performance review that it got to a certain point and it was supposed to be reviewed, and if it wasn't doing its job by that point, then it would be cut off sooner than later? Do you remember any of that, or we'll get the details on that?
No, so I think it's more, in these statements of work, you're basically purchasing, for lack of a better term, time and materials. You're purchasing this many people at this skill level for this long. And you say, I want them working on these things, but you can't, for example, put a penalty in if they can't get done. The state procurement rules don't allow you to put in penalties on top of whatever's in that broader contract. That's what we have tightened up those statements of work, where we made it more clear to your point. Look, we expect this to get done. If it doesn't, we're probably going to use somebody else.